Like this.
Ooh.
Oh, and Jim is here.
Oh,
Came
Jimmy's
aboard.
here. All right. Okay.
Check out the fresh background.
Dude, we are fucking in business. All
It's
right.
like back to our first stream.
Yeah. Probably just as skinny as we were 5 years ago. At least for me. You already had the weight when I met you the first time, right?
Of course.
Yeah, you were already Feitai.
Feitai means fat boy.
It's one of the only Chinese things I know, because like I always call like my nephews, I just call them Feitai.
Are they fat?
No, they're not. Of course not. I just call them Feitai. Feitai and Lanloi. Lanloi isn't creepy, right?
No, Langley is just like, hey, beautiful.
Yeah. But
like in a non-creepy
yeah,
way.
exactly. Like, hey, beautiful. For like a 4-year-old. Okay, all right. We're gonna wait for a couple of people to show up. Here's Restream. All right. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, this is gonna be a long one, so actually we don't really have to wait.
Yeah.
Where to begin? Okay, so as announced, like on the last stream, we are gonna talk real quick about what has happened over the last, I think, 3 or 4 years here at TBS since COVID hit. It's been a pretty wild ride, and to be honest, like this stream has happened in my head for like at least every 2 to 3 months, basically. Kind of like one hurdle that came up, it got solved, and it's like, okay, cool, now we can talk about it and we can move on. And then things got progressively worse. And it was a fucking stairway to hell. Before I really begin with all of the stories, like I want to like ask people not to post names. I'm not going to mention any names, so obviously some of the people may know like who.
It is bothering me a little bit. So
Yeah,
straight.
and
There
we're
we
also
go.
not centered, kind of. Like it's
We
giving.
are not centered.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah, well.
oh, you sit way too close.
Okay.
There you go.
No homo. But then this one here isn't centered, right?
Oh, it
No,
was
whatever,
fine. Now you
whatever.
fucked it up. Oh.
Oh no.
All right, whatever.
Okay. Where were we? Yeah, so I'm not gonna mention any names. There are grudges, obviously, but I just don't want to kick up
Arm's length, please.
old dust. Yeah, arm's length. Yeah. Anyway, so I guess we just start at like pre-COVID around right?
Pre-COVID, that would be
2019. Yeah.
Yeah.
August of 2019 is when this whole saga started. We are now nearly August of 2023, so it's been a rough 4 fucking years.
I'm gonna take off my shoes for this.
Yeah.
We got carpet now in here.
Yeah, so as some of you may know, TBS was started by 3 people, and it was kind of founded on a handshake agreement. So a lot of people are gonna go, oh my god, this is gonna get worse. So yeah, anyway.
And it will.
It was, oh yeah, it will. It was started on a handshake agreement based on, I don't know, like just basically just trust, right? And pretty soon we outgrew our plans of staying in Switzerland. It was quite clear that like in Switzerland there wasn't going to be any manufacturing or production or success of the company of any kind. As is evident by other companies who have either been successful or not successful, so you can find positive examples and
Due to
negative
taxes,
examples. Not really due to taxes, it's just, I mean, salaries are way too high, the
all that
environmental regulations, like just everything, like the paperwork, everything. Of running an electronics company in Switzerland in a niche market is a big ask. I mean, you can do it. Like there are people who who like ran it in their fucking basements, or still do run it in their basements.
Like that father. And the basement shit. Sorry,
Sorry.
I was just like, what?
No, that's Austria. and he didn't really. Anyway. I was wondering, like, who do you mean? Because there are dads who run electronics businesses. But I was just like, well, didn't we just say we're not going to mention any names? Anyway, so anyway, it's a big ask, and I kind of just took the initiative and left for Shenzhen area, right? So
so you didn't aim for Hong Kong?
No, I didn't
You
aim
just
for Hong
like,
Kong. I
alright,
just
it's like somewhere over there.
Yeah. So I mean, all of our suppliers were in Shenzhen.
Yeah.
Or most of them. And also, like, that wasn't planned. It's just a random thing that happened. Yeah. So he says, just like in Australia. I mean, any kind of Western country, right? You need to serve larger markets. But we specifically wanted to address the FPV market, which was.
Sorry, people want more sound. We're at max.
No, not yet.
Was it taped? Oh, that's why.
Yeah. I think we're good now, and we can also crank it up here a little bit more to like 11. All right. I hope this is better. We're hitting the red now. Anyway, where was I? Oh, right. So TBS like moved to Hong Kong. We weren't even incorporated in Switzerland. You don't really have to be. Most of the shit just ran off of like my private account. And in Switzerland, you can do that up to like $1 million US or like some fucking crazy number. I don't remember exactly what it was. We were way under it, right? Like even if it was 100,000, we were way under it. So we moved or tried to move out of Switzerland to Austria first. And that fucking backfired. I don't know if I've already told this story. Maybe I can just mention it real quick. I was at the tax department of Austria, like registering my company, and they mentioned that they would need a deposit on the tax. I was like, well, what the fuck you mean, right? Like, they asked me like for a business plan, so I provided them a business plan, like the same one that you'd show like to investors, where you say like, we're the fucking kings of the world and we're doing like millions of revenue. And so they were like, okay, so this is your plan. I'm just going to mention a number. It's 100% not accurate. You're going to do $10 in revenue. That means you owe us $5 in tax, and we would like to have that up front, please. Right? So before we even made any money in Austria, we already owed them tax. And I said, well, that's not going to work. Right? Find another deal. And they were
That's
like,
pretty aggressive.
Dude, it was a fucking like, are you nuts kind of thing?
That's kind of like, it's like hostage.
Yeah, dude. It's not like the corporate tax or the profits tax. It's the Mehrwertsteuer, which is the VAT, value added tax. Which I get why they want it upfront or blah 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 blah. I mean, technically, like in Hong Kong, you also pay corporate tax upfront, right? Yeah. Whatever. It's a government, but at the same time, like I'm a young kid, 25 I think, or 26 was my age at the time, and I don't have that fucking kind of money, and plus, like, why would I, like they said, like, well, you can just go to a bank and like, get a loan, right? So why would I go to a bank, pay a bank, to pay taxes on money that, like, if the business I haven't even received yet, right? Yeah. Anyway, so I was super pissed with that guy. And then he had the nerve of telling me to my face, well, you don't really have any options, right? Like, you have to pay that. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I booked a flight to Hong Kong in the fucking office. And I showed it to him, like, go fuck yourself. Ran out, canceled all my plans to start my company, and had a flight next day. So it was like, that's how well planned this entire fucking situation was, right?
Well, I heard you booked or you rented the office while you're on the plane.
No, I registered the company while I was on the plane.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I got like the PayPal, a bank account, PayPal and PayPal them some money. Like that, there are like companies, or there used to be. I don't know if that's still the case in Hong Kong, but you could open up like letterbox companies or whatever they're called. So you have like a company secretary, which is just a company owning thousands of businesses, and you send them some money, and they open up a business for you, right? And I was like, well, I'm already going to Hong Kong, might as well open up a business here, right? And an account. Because I had read online that like even like in China, like if you are in China, you still need a Hong Kong bank account. And I guess most of the businesses have that anyway.
Yeah. Everyone buys from us. They have like, oh, can we transfer from our Hong Kong account?
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Man, you should get that fighter running. Okay. Yeah. That's for another lounge. So yeah, that's how like the story of how we ended up in Hong Kong. And there was a guy, again, like I said, I won't mention any names, so I'm not going to mention any names, even if it's positive. He like picked me up from the airport. He was one of our suppliers. He picked me up from the airport, drove me to my hotel, which was right around the corner of our first office. So like in the next morning, I woke up, took a dump, went out, and just like walked into the first real estate place. Like in Hong Kong, there's like these shops everywhere where you can just walk in and say like,
bunch of agents in there just waiting.
Yeah, just waiting for business.
But hang on. Right. Yeah, I knew who that was. Okay.
Okay, so then open up the business, whatever, and the rest is history, right? We started like making products, blah blah blah. Got our first staff, everything like super fast forward to business is taking off, very successful, going very well, and now we have a problem because, like, in organizational theory or whatever, one manager is supposed to run 8 people around, right? And very good managers can handle up to like 10, 15 people. But usually like I'm not talking about a production setting or like an assembly factory place where you can run hundreds of people, but like for knowledge work, engineering, all those kind of things. And we were already like, I would say 20 at the time, right? But yeah, anyway. So the discussion started to surface about like presence in Hong Kong for the other 2 people who, the other 2 founders who had up until then showed up sporadically. So eventually an agreement was made that there would be 100% presence by both of them on a 50-50 share. So that at least one person was going to be here at all times. And that, for some reason, didn't work out. It caused a lot of issues, leading to now we are where we're going to start our story. So this is why this is going to take a while. Beginning of COVID, the first guy started to break, I would say. Right? Is that a fair assessment?
It's a little more than that.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, he wants to have a family. He wants to not be in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
He's got a dog that he's traveling around with.
Yeah.
And it's quite expensive to travel around with a dog.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah. So again, like no hard feelings, whatever. At the same time, the company was not like 30 people or something like that. So I was like, well, and at the time, like my feeling of like, let's say there was 3 of us, I would say that the workload split was a fair 20-20, 60, I would say, about. Does that add up to 100? Yeah. And just in terms of working hours, right? Like it wasn't 30. Maybe it was, or 1/3. Maybe it was 25, 50. Probably not. Like maybe even another share, like whatever. But I was doing way more than both of them. So already I was like, well, like if you if you want to go back, like then I have to do even more, right? Because the whole thing like wasn't working. So like any kind of extra work would disproportionately be allocated to me, right? And just due to the nature of like, if you're in Switzerland, you're not going to be able to help if a production run goes bad, just by the definition of it. Plus, like you're going to wake up at 4 p.m. our time, when like half an hour later, our staff are going to be off. So anyway, it was just a fucking nightmare. Plus, then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So that kind of like lit the whole thing on fire. And the guy resigned or wanted to leave, exit the company.
Stop the stream.
The lawyers. No. I'm kidding. But hang on, actually, this is for the party tomorrow, right? Let me. Sorry, guys. I just got to check this real quick.
Oh, he sent you a bunch of shit.
All white onions is okay. Cheese cutter also okay. Sorry, we have like a celebratory party tomorrow for all this shit.
How big was the dump?
Okay. There we go. So anyway, the first guy wanted to leave. Now, what some of you, well, nobody knows, is he was he was in charge of the software of Crossfire. So that's a big guy to lose, right? Or at least a lot of knowledge that is going to get lost. I mean, he was in charge of it. He didn't write most of it, I would say, or maybe he wrote most of it. I'm not familiar with the shares, right, of who did what. But he was like in charge of the project, so he knew the most about it. So that was a big guy to lose. And it was kind of a scary situation, at least for me. Like personally, for me, there was a lot of I don't like to use the word, but let's call it anxiety, in terms of like what is going to happen to TBS, right? Because I'm already like balls to the walls, like maxed out, working. I don't know how many hours per week. It was weak ass numbers, like fucking 80, 90 hours a week, something like that. So anyway, there was just some general concern about who we're going to hire to replace this, and then COVID hit, and so you can't hire anybody to replace this lack of knowledge. Yeah, so that was kind of the whole start of the pandemic. And he hadn't left at that point. Like he left 2021, but like an exit agreement is usually like over a year or so.
I was just about to ask, like, how long did the whole thing take?
Yeah, it was about I don't know, like it was 3 months at the end, but it was like over a year, kind of.
Okay.
Like he said, like I don't want any more. I want out. And then like over a year or so, we found an amicable, whatever, agreement, if you can say, right? So yeah. So here we are. Used to be 3, now there's 2. Company is obviously still growing and everything's going fine, blah, 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 blah. And then, like I said, COVID happened. And along with that, there were also political turmoil, or there was already political turmoil in Hong Kong. Which is going to play a very important role for the next chapter of this story. So the first chapter basically is founder wars. Not really, but whatever. One guy down, first chapter closed, right? Crossfire, software lead gone. Trappy takes the lead on that, because like every fucking time, whenever like something had to be taken over, on my fucking face. And then the political turmoil turned into a national security law, which Google it if you're interested. Some kind of like a law that is supposed to like foster patriotism, to put it nicely. And plus COVID and restrictions that didn't make sense to everybody. Travel restrictions, like they were just lifted like a fucking like 6 months ago or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or 5 months ago.
Less than that, yeah.
Actually, less, 4 months ago. Anyway, like we had the longest and the dumbest and one of the strictest restrictions surrounding COVID.
Yeah, we were the last place to have the mask rule.
Yeah. One of the first places to have the mask rule. One of the last places to remove it. One of the longest places with travel quarantine to all countries.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, on top of that, we were one of the smallest places to even have quarantine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just like to be clear, like I don't mind the fucking travel to international travel quarantine when I'm located in fucking China, right?
Yeah,
I want to go to the ocean and want to surf. All right,
Yeah.
I can do that in China. I want to see the fucking desert. I can do that in China. I want to go skiing. I can do that in China. Like in Hong Kong, what the fuck are you gonna do, man? Like,
Dude, they even took the land to build the shit. to
yeah, I
quarantine
know.
people.
It's
Freaking
just
nuts.
whatever.
It's like they have sea view. It's like next to the ocean.
Well, there's one right
like,
at the
what
fucking
the
ferry terminal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Fucking best fucking real estate. Anyway. He's wearing a black shirt, get him. Yeah, yeah, pretty much, yeah. You're not far off, actually. You're very well informed. Okay, let's just keep like product questions. Maybe
Later,
we'll
maybe.
we'll look at them later. So anyway,
COVID.
national security law, and then post-COVID or in between COVID chip
Yeah.
crisis,
Yeah.
right? Or chip
Mhm.
supply crunch, whatever you want to
Mhm.
call it. So we were like fucking balls to the walls, just making sure that we could make something, right? And like all along this time, and even like before that time, I had like something felt off within the company. We weren't getting stuff done. Like, you know how you feel when you're like swimming like as hard as you can, but you're not moving forward?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, obviously because you have the wrong technique, right? Or something like that. But
Because you can't swim.
yeah, because you can, or maybe because you're wearing like baggy pants or whatever. Like, it just felt like that, right? And I just never I just didn't understand it. I didn't have the time to deal with it.
Mm.
And I just never really had the time to like take a step back and look at the fucking issues in great detail. So it got even worse during COVID, because during COVID, like I said, we had chip supply issues, and hooray for us, we don't only have one platform. We don't only buy chips from ST. We buy them from ST, Microchip, and from other vendors. Out. Kill it.
Oh, he brought it in just in time.
Yeah, he brought it in
Perfect
just in
for-
time, yeah.
Perfect for the stream.
Yeah. Fuck that. I knew it wasn't gone yet. So, yeah, chip supply, massive fucking issues. Like our lead times went from 4 weeks to like 45 weeks and up to like 80 weeks at the peak. And we were like paying, instead of like $3, we were paying the $30 for the STM32 and all these kind of like fucking nonsense stuff, right? So like all of our developers were basically focused on rewriting software to make it work on other chips, re-layouting boards to make them work with chips that were just no longer available.
Mm-hmm.
Like the end of life, a fuck bunch of shit
Mm-hmm.
during COVID. Yeah, so like at that point that was like my personal low, because I felt like there was no progress, or what I thought at the time was my personal low.
Have you already mentioned like how the prices went?
Yeah.
How many like percent?
Yeah, just did like from $3 to 30, basically,
Okay.
more or less. Yeah. So anyway, at that point, I felt like, okay, this can't get any worse. Like we have to just bite through this, and there will be a light at the other end of the tunnel. And little did we know, now the national security law thing is kicking in. People want to have kids. Well, people already have kids and are concerned about their well-being in the future.
Kids,
COVID restrictions are still in full effect, so people who are not from here cannot return home. If they do, it takes months off of their fucking work performance or whatever, because they have to plan, they have to go to quarantine both ways. It's just whatever, like a massive fucking shit show.
Yeah, back then, coming back to Hong Kong, it's they require you to quarantine for 7 days.
Yeah. No, 14 to 21 at that time.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
only
yeah,
7 days for like a month or so. Yeah, so that's kind of where everything was like very, very precarious, because now people start leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not necessarily saying TBS, but Hong Kong. And like this exodus hasn't stopped. It's still ongoing
going.
right now, right? Like Hong Kong has a negative population, especially in the upper median of the income bracket, which is where, luckily, we're at. So that is kind of another precarious situation, and now we start losing talent. The main software developer for Crossfire resigns. But okay, like one of the things you have to remember is like not only TBS is affected by this, right? Everybody is fucking affected. Every company in Hong Kong. So now we are competing with, well, not with Google because Google left, not with Facebook because Facebook left, thanks to the national security law, but we are competing with like massive companies, like Ernst & Young or whatever, for people, right? Mm-hmm. And they have pockets like fuck off, we'll just pay you double, right? So that's what's happening. Like poaching is happening. So people are resigning. People are leaving Hong Kong to go to other places, staying with TBS or not staying with TBS, like both fucking cases. And at one point, 80% of our engineering workforce before COVID was no longer here, and that was like within a year. Okay. And again, like all of the work that had to be picked up disproportionately got put on me, right? We were like, now we are, before we were 30 or one-third partners. Now we're 50-50 partners, and it's looking like a fucking nightmare. Plus, like promises that were made, like in terms of like Hong Kong presence, which was now still 100%, just were not kept. Like holidays were being taken due to the COVID. They had to be like fucking excessive, which again, like everything on me, and things just got progressively worse, like within the company, because like we couldn't release any new products. There was just nothing to be fucking made. Like people were leaving, so we had to retrain new guys to enter the scene. We had to find new guys, we had to hire new guys, and then within that shit, like especially during COVID, there were scams and just like people like applying for jobs that they didn't even fucking need, and then like not showing up after they had signed the paperwork, and just all kinds of fucking like every like I'm telling you, like every fucking thing that could have happened. Actually, yeah, until last week, I thought like at least the fucking like we didn't get hit by sanctions last week, but it is anyway, and we didn't really get hit by sanctions, but some money is tied up due to sanctions. Whatever, it'll be resolved, hopefully. So anyway, every fucking shit that could have happened, right? And I'm not trying to like poor me, absolutely not. I'm just trying to like tell you the story. Okay, I'm not looking for a fucking pity or a handout. PayPal donation buttons down below. It's not. But yeah, things were looking very, very precarious, And I'm like the kind of guy, like when things are running perfectly, I worry. Okay? And it just gets exponentially worse the worse things are going, right? So like just picture like main software guy and longtime business partner leaving TBS. I'm already like what I think is on the floor, right? Then shortly after that, main software guy working on Crossfire resigns. I'm like, holy fuck, what the fuck is going on? The tracer guy resigns, right? Or leaves, whatever. So like every time I'm thinking like, okay, this has got to be rock bottom. Like there's just no way we can fall any further. And we are now at around end of 2021, early 2022. When I'm kind of like slowly regaining breath and momentum and all of the things that you want to call it, and like everything is like slowly like falling back into place. When I realized that like the hardware, there's no new hardware development. There hasn't been any for quite some time, and like now the software team is running again, like after it's been fucking decimated. And I hear a lot of excuses, like from my crew, right? Or from my team. And whenever excuses come up, I don't know if you guys are like into management or whatever, or even if you're parents and your kids have excuses, that's a red flag. So that's kind of when I started to wonder more carefully, like what, or more intimately or more intensively. Intensively is the right word. There we go. Wondering more intensively about what was going on within the company, because like, you know, products like were never in stock, and like they weren't in stock in good months, but they also weren't in stock in bad months, right? So like, but if the output is consistent, then you know like. So it just, I don't know, like it just seems strange. Like let's say you sell 100 VTXs in 1 month and you can barely make it and you make like 90, right? Oh, okay, fine. We made 90 almost, right? But then like let's say you sell 30 in the next month and now you can only make 20. Just weird, right? Weird. Excuses are the nails that built the house of failure. Thank you very much, Random FPV, with that beautiful quote. Looking trim and strong, gents. How we doing? Yeah, thank you. Have a seat, take off your shoes, relax, and grab some popcorn. Yeah. Yeah, so I was just looking into things, why things were going wrong. I was asking the right questions, like looking back at it right now, right? I was asking the right questions, but I was getting the wrong answers, aka excuses, and I accepted those. Like people got blamed by, let's call it management, as a blanket term. Management blamed engineers. And right around that time, I don't know if you remember, we had a team meeting at TBS where I was just getting sick and tired of the fucking excuses, and I implemented a policy that nobody could blame their team members.
Yeah, I was there, yeah.
Yeah. So like Wayne is in charge of a couple of people, he cannot blame them. They can blame him, he cannot blame them. That was the rule that I implemented in TBS. And everybody except one person was following it. And that's where the cookie crumbles, right? So I was like, gotcha, motherfucker. Because now you know what the issue really is, right? Because somebody who blames their team members doesn't understand responsibility. Blame is never a solution. There you go. Yeah.
What's up with these quotes, man?
Well, that's not really cool. That's just a statement. but yeah. Anyway, actually, it wasn't just one person. It was two people, but one caught the corner after several discussions. Anyway, I I digress. So we are now like mid 2020. Things are still not looking up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me as a staff, like early 2022 or even like mid
2022. Sorry, yeah.
21 or 22, like that 2 years, it felt like it was a standstill, right?
Yeah.
With the company, and if I was doing marketing, I didn't have much to push.
No, we couldn't do marketing. Anytime we
Yeah,
did marketing, people are like, "Where's our stuff?" And I'm not blaming anybody. Obviously, like, you know.
It's it's a legit complaint. I mean,
Yeah.
where's my shit? I ordered it 2 months ago, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like a standstill. We don't have much to push, and I mean, we still got ethics, making new shit, but it's nothing really technical compared to electronic shit. So yeah, I mean, like as a staff, it wasn't. I was like, just cruising.
Yeah, cruising. Yeah, that's a good way. Cruising at like 190 miles an hour. At least for me, like 80 fucking 90 hours a week. No Sunday. No, I had actually, during COVID, I took Saturdays and Sundays off. Just because there was nothing to do. But it was still like 80-hour weeks. Anyway, so maybe I circle back a little bit. The way that the workload was handled, or like the responsibility falls, and I can only speak for myself, like I am the CEO of the company, so that means I'm like the only guy in charge at the top, right? So that means I can't blame anybody except for myself. Okay, that's the number one fucking rule. And so that meant even more workload. Because, I mean, obviously, if you implement a rule, you have to follow it yourself, right? So I can't say, like, no, you fucked up. Fix it. No, I fucked up. I need to fix it. So anyway, as I get more and more involved in the hardware development, or more and more, not really involved, but interested in it and questioning it, and more involved in the production side of things, I realized what's going on, okay? And at that moment, because the problem was the other 50%, I don't really have a choice, right? Because it's a handshake agreement, more or less. I mean, it was on paper by that time. But it's still like, I don't have the alone say in the company. I mean, or at least I shouldn't. On paper I do, right? Because CEO has the final say. But I shouldn't, and it's not within my nature to go against what I shouldn't do. Morally and ethically and business speaking, right? Because it can't be right all the time, and it's a fucking lonely place if you go against everybody else's decision, and then you end up being wrong, right?
Accountability is the building blocks for success.
Yeah. Okay, we have like
we got
all right
nails, we got blocks.
We got all the quotes today, and so like. All of this shit that the people are posting about right now, like that was my fucking gospel, right? I went to YouTube, I went down a fucking rabbit hole of like podcasts, figuring out what the fuck was going on. I don't read books, like religiously don't read books. I actually, like in school, they asked me what was my religion, and I said my religion is not reading books. So they couldn't violate against my religion of asking me to do book reports. It was this whole thing, like it went like government level. I was like, no man, it's my religion, right? I don't read books.
Books are evil.
Yeah, books are evil. Books is where religion comes from, so my religion is not to read books. Anyway, I'm still a very good practicer of that religion, and but
you're the Pope, man.
Yeah, the fucking ambassador Pope, and just hardbacks. No, like okay, I don't have anything against audiobooks, right?
Yeah,
it's a loophole in my religion. I don't have anything against movies or like podcasts or whatever, right? I listen to those. So, yeah. Anyway, I went down this fucking research rabbit hole of like how to turn around a company, And right around that time, we managed to secure our very first ODM, I think it's called, right?
ODM.
ODM customer.
Yeah.
Not in the drone space at all, like making completely, like making glass eyewear for all you fucking care, right? It has nothing to do with FPV, nothing to do with drones, nothing to do with remote controlled airplanes or whatever, right? Just like completely random email that we get one day. And that kind of, together with like all of these strategic nonsense or whatever was floating around in my head, gave me the idea of, let's fucking do this. Like the drone thing obviously isn't moving along at all. Let's fucking restructure the entire company and do something fucking insane. And I'm not gonna say like what the entire strategy was because like the Chinese are already doing but
this is what we're doing tomorrow.
Yeah, we got the new idea. Trappy said Tango 3 whatever. So I was like, all right, let's fucking spin this whole thing on its fucking head. Drones are not going to be fruitful anymore because the guy in charge is blaming everybody except the guy in the mirror, and it's just never going to change. It's never going to improve. Like and the only way that this would work is if we fired him, basically. Okay, like, let's just be very clear about this. Which I wasn't going to do. Blanket. The discussion, like I had like mentors and like therapists or whatever you want to call it, and all of them like suggested like immediately. But I was like, no, this is out of the fucking question. Like we started the company together, we're gonna fucking die together. And also like like suggestions or like all these kind of things like tried, didn't work, whatever. So we get this ODM customer, and I have this fucking weird idea of restructuring this company, doing like completely different stuff, right? But obviously still like keep the drone stuff going as best as I can. But in the meantime, since like everybody else is just fucking chilling, right? We got some fucking ideas. And we implemented those ideas, at a fucking pace like I've never seen before. I think,
it was
right?
nuts.
It was fucking nuts. Guy goes on holiday, like the guy in charge, comes back, and basically it's a different company. I think I can say that,
of course.
Right? Like,
we got documentations, we got policies.
yeah, don't you see how they're taking notes?
Oh, yeah. Okay, we got shit.
We got shit.
We got
shit done. Anyway, so
sorry, I thought that was straightforward, but
yeah, no, of course it's obvious, but I mean it's the minor. Like I stopped you before you went to the important stuff, right?
All right.
Anyway, but yeah, so that was it was very encouraging. Wayne Leakmore. Yeah, no, don't.
We got pizzas, popcorn.
Yeah, we got popcorn machines. That was the best investment, man. 20 fucking bucks. Yeah, plus, like right around that time, we got audited for like various things, and like the guy has basically been echoing what like some of us have been saying for quite some time, and it was just interesting to know that that your thoughts and concerns have been validated. Anyway, so this is happening. Like the concern is that basically the drone side of TBS is just gonna completely fucking die. Like I'll just be completely honest. Like we were like, okay, we are very close from like complete implosion to the point where it's not making any money anymore, and then people would have had to be let go, and then sign at the fucking times, right? But throughout all of this, like now I'm working 90-hour weeks probably, like Saturday, Sunday, yeah, more or less. While the other guys like on holiday are doing like 50-hour weeks, let's call it, generously, and then we get. So like everything again like looks like, oh yeah, we're like we fucking caught the curve, and like the ODM guy is gonna place orders, and we're gonna be supplying that guy, and like who cares about the drone business? Maybe it's gonna die, maybe it's not gonna die. Like let's see what goes. We'll obviously still try to make new products and Tango 3 and Mango 5 and whatever. But yeah, they were just not progressing, and like you can only like lead a monkey to the fucking peanuts, right? And so like here's the peanuts, like go from here to here, and then you'll get the peanuts. But if the monkey's not moving, the monkey's not getting peanuts. And you guys are the monkeys for the crossfires, by the way. I don't want to call the guy a monkey. Like, oh my god, now I'm getting sued. There we go. Just one moment. Yes, hello. All right, that wasn't the lawyers. It was just a pickup. Sorry about that. Anyway, and then we get a notice from the building management that our contract will not be renewed as expected. Okay? Everything was already signed.
As expected.
Yeah. Everything was already signed. Like, we were ready to fucking go. We were like, I was typing in the bank information to wire the fucking transfer. And then they were like, nope, you guys are not staying, right? So in the middle of everything that was going on, like trying to turn around the company, trying to release FPV products, COVID still being like in full effect, the building management of our old building goes full fucking retard. And that's like the only way you can call this, because companies are migrating out of Hong Kong. Like you can see it. Like you can see it, right? You can see the decay.
There's so many empty offices in Hong Kong.
We are at a record empty office, right? Record empty office situation. Number one. Number two, we have never been late on payments. Like we even had like agreements where we paid a year in advance, right? Like I don't, whatever. Like we were the fucking dream tenant, or so I thought, for those fucking morons. And they went, exactly, never go full retard. They went full fucking retard. I still don't know to this day why they kicked us out. I mean, the building got sold, but they're renovating the place right now in the hopes of finding new tenants. They kicked us out, and they don't have any new person to get inside. And they haven't had one for a year, right? So they kicked us out to have it standing there empty. So, like, in this moment, like, we thought, like, oh, fuck, like, did we maybe say something bad against China or something? Right? You know, it could happen, right? Well, it could be. Like, you go full fucking paranoid.
Yeah, I guess
guaranteed.
true,
Like, if something like this happens, especially, like, as a capitalist at heart, it's like, what are you doing? Like, it makes no sense. Like, at least tell us what's the problem. And then they were like, cannot tell you. Bam, hung up the phone, right? Just fucking weird. Anyway, I was like, well, fuck these guys. Now we have to move. And in the middle of all of this, because the other guy was like at already like peak mental breakdown, maybe not mental breakdown, but like mental exhaustion. That's the right word.
Same.
Yeah, not really. No, the breakdown came later. What are you doing, step landlord? Yeah, exactly. I'm stuck.
Yeah, if I ever find a fucking tenant like this, if I own a fucking building, he's staying.
Yeah, not raising rent. I'm not doing anything.
Staying,
like,
have some free parking spots.
yeah.
Suck your dick for some, for some time.
Yeah, you want some prostitutes? Here's some prostitutes. Yeah.
All right, take them off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, order whatever you want. Take it off the rent. Anyway, they went full fucking retard, and they really pissed me off. Because it was like, again, like, you know, we talked about this, the steps, the stairway to hell, right? And every time, like, it flatlined and it didn't decline and go into a fucking nightmare. They booted you to renovate. No, they're not renovating the building. They're renovating the floor that we were on. Because obviously we tore it to fucking shit. Like, it was like we used the spot, right? We used the place. Like the step landlord gets used. Anyway, yeah. So now we have to look for a new place. We're looking for a new place. We find a pretty good new place.
Found a few good ones, yeah.
We found 2 or 3 good places, but like this building here. All right, this is gonna be the final tangent I'm gonna go on, and this might sound super weird. I read this book. It's the only time I have sinned, oh Father, by Rick Rubin, which is I only read it halfway, so I guess I'm still.
Oh,
good.
that was the music guy. Right?
Yeah, the music guy. So Rick Rubin is a music producer. He produced Eminem. He produced for fucking everybody, like Foo Fighters, Wu-Tang Clan, whatever. Like from rock to hip hop. Like if you've listened to music in the 90s and early 2000s, maybe even late 2000s, you've heard his fucking shit. And he says that the universe sometimes speaks to you. Okay, and this is gonna sound like super weird. I drove past the building that we're in like 7 or 8 years ago. And I always knew that somewhere around this building was gonna be a make or break moment in my life. I don't know why, I can't explain it. We drove past this building also like in your car once.
We call this the Marlboro.
Yeah, we called it the
building
Marlboro building.
because there was a huge Marlboro sign on the side.
Yeah.
There was.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It was very, very weird. Yeah. So you have to picture my situation, right? I'm gonna try not to get emotional. But like the whole company, everything that we built is in fucking shambles. We have like this one way of getting out, but we're working really hard for it, and we might lose it again because we have to move, and like the audit, everything is like gonna go back to zero. Like the strategies and everything may not be working off, like fighting with the business partner, like it's getting progressively worse. Like we're probably not even talking to each other anymore at this point. And like we have to get an agreement. We have to, we have to move the office, and like we have to agree on something, right? Like what are we gonna do? And at this point, to be quite blunt with you, it feels like the other party is sabotaging the company, blocking decisions that have to be made, or forcing.
Okay, basically, whatever you say yes, he says no.
Yeah,
You
kind
say
of.
no, he says yes.
It felt like that. I'm. There might have been some kind of logic to it. I didn't see it. Okay, I didn't see it. That's it. Rick Rubin produced everything, even still. Yeah. Anyway, so the point I was saying, like we had like 3 buildings lined up. This one looked like the most likely one that we were going to get. Because it's not that easy. Like we also applied for another building where we even offered to pay like 12 months up in advance, and they were like, "You're not a reputable company. We do not talk to you." And I'm like, what do you mean reputable? And they were like, "You're not even 25 years old, bro." That's what they kind of said, right? And I was like, "What? Like I'm 25. Like what the fuck are you talking about? All right, like my dad doesn't have a fucking business. The fuck. Anyway. So it looks like this building here is going to be it, and I cannot get an okay. And so that was like the first time where I was forced, basically. Oh, no, I wasn't forced, sorry. the old building management then came back and said,
Please stay.
please stay. Yeah. We will give you a month-by-month contract and we'll raise your rent by 30%. Okay? That was the deal that I got. So if you're a business person, in my opinion, that means that's not a deal. That's just like, all right, if you have to stay, then we're going to fucking rape you, right? That's number one. Number two is a month-by-month contract. It takes 3 months to move this company. Okay? That means we are playing fucking Russian roulette every month. Because if they say you have to move out, we have to be gone in a month. And we cannot go in a month. We cannot even find a new place within a month. Okay? And then we're out on the streets. So, to me, this wasn't a fucking deal. And it got me so upset that we were like, okay, like, this place is out. Like, no matter what is going to come next, I told them, like, this is not a deal. Like, we even hired a lawyer to talk to them and say, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But even after this, like, even now that we might have been able to get a better deal or whatever, I said, like, we cannot deal with this management. They have just, I don't know, they've just simply hit full retard, right? I don't know what's going on. Maybe they don't like us. Maybe they saw something that they shouldn't have. Whatever, right? You never know, right? You never know. Like, maybe they... I don't even want to speculate anymore. I'm just going to incriminate myself. But anyway, so we had to move. That was, like, in my opinion, that was the only way to go. It wasn't the only way to go, but it kind of was. And so we had to move, and we moved. Now, the thing is, we have talked about this on other streams, I think. In Hong Kong, moving and all this shit is fucking expensive. Yep. Like, just general labor, like what you would call blue collar, I guess, like drywaller or like air condition installer, electrician, all these kinds of people. Like, calculate with $1,000 a day, and you're still gonna be low. US, $1,000 a day, and you're still gonna be low, fairly low. So that meant, on top of all this shit that was going on, the responsibility was going to be on me to get this done in an economically feasible way. And without Wayne, this would never have happened. Like, to be absolutely fucking clear, like, Wayne stepped in. Also, a couple of my other friends stepped in, I have to say, and they helped. But Wayne and I did the lion's share of the work after the floor was done.
Monday to Sunday.
16
hours a day.
16 hours a day. Easy. Okay.
Yeah, I was telling one of our colleagues, hey man, like, I work till like 9 to 1. And he goes like, oh fuck, 4 hours. I was like, no, 16, bro. Goes, oh, that was a Sunday 4 hours?
No, it was Sunday 16 hours. Yeah. Jimmy also helped, by the way, since he's on the fucking stream. Jimmy was in there like fucking snorting epoxy fumes together with the rest of us. Yeah, so that was like a month probably of just excruciating pain and work with
2 months at least.
Yeah, but like a month, like full on.
Oh yeah.
30 days.
Yeah,
okay, 30
that,
days.
Yeah.
Over the course of 2 months, because we were waiting on equipment. Of excruciating pain, with, I would say, zero help or near zero help, other than Wayne and some of my friends. Yeah.
Jimmy helped, really?
I don't believe that. Yeah. No, he really did. He really came through, because we needed an extra guy. And I asked the other guy, I think I can say this, and he just like started giving reasons why it wouldn't work. So I was like, I'm sorry, man. I'm working 16 hours a week, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I do not have time to argue about what's going to work and what's not going to work. I'm just going to call Jimmy. And I called up Jimmy. Jimmy was like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's try it. And it worked. Yeah. So now we're in a new place. Um, Everything's starting to ramp up. Everything's starting to fucking like beautiful, right? Like in one of my counselors, again, like I'm not going to say names or relations or whatever. One of the people who were counseling me at the time said that it looked like there was an anticipation of failure from the other party, right? Like, and then basically being able to say like, you fucking failed that one. You failed everything, you know, right? And even it would have been a legit move because it would have been up, right? And I only got myself to blame. But like all things, like all honesty, or all things out on the table, like it was a very risky move, and it was extremely ballsy, I would have to say, but it paid off. So here we are, nice place, 50% bigger, cheaper than the old place, even like pre discount, pre-rent increase, obviously post-rent increase, much cheaper, room to grow, we're super fucking stoked, perfect fucking floor, ESD floor, I know he hates the floor, so I just gotta push that one in.
Well, one thing was missing. I don't hate it. It's just missing the.
No, I didn't mean you. I mean the other cunt. No step landlords. Anyway, so everything's kind of working okay. There were some hiccups. The aircon isn't working very well. Like we're a little bit sweaty. But whatever, you know, these are minor things compared to like how things could have been like out in the streets in Kuntong with like holding unifies, like what's going on right now? Okay. So like again, we hit this fucking like, you know, like we just went down the fucking, and now we are stabilizing, just about to creep up, and then I met a guy. In one of the parties that we have, like we frequently have parties here at TBS on Fridays, like, you know, and on one of those events, an old staff member showed up, and we were just talking, blah, 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 and he was like, yeah, you know, I'm like in a management position, I run like a hardware team, and I was like, oh, right, like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, so what do you think about this? How do you see this? And we just got to talking, and he gave most of the right answers, I would say. Right? I mean, you're never going to agree 100% on something, and you're not supposed to. Like, if you agree 100% with somebody, run, because then they're just like fucking yes men. But there was method to the madness, I would say, and so there was like an opportunity, right? So I proposed this opportunity several times to the other party. It's like, hey man, like you're not doing it anyway, right? So like, you know, just hire that guy. And again, like, no. But I don't know if you guys know me, but I'm like a fucking, like I'm a dog. I'm like a dog with a bone. Like once I have my eyes set on something, you see Wayne is already smiling. Like,
Yeah.
there is
like a fucking hammock.
There's no fucking wall big enough to fucking stop my head from plowing through it.
Until it fails.
Oh, of course. And then it's like, oops, what a dumb fucking idea. And then you just move on, right? And then blame somebody else. Yeah, so lockjaw. Yeah, exactly. And like to me, genuinely, like I wasn't trying to fuck with the guy. I wasn't trying to replace anybody. It would have been the way out, genuinely. But it obviously got denied, right? Blame it on Wayne. Yeah. Well, on you, Jimmy.
You too, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome to the blame game. Yeah, so I genuinely still believe, and the guy's gonna start next week. So I put my money where my mouth is, basically. I still genuinely believe that this is the way out, and that we are going to be able to regain our old glory days. No. But anyway, it got denied, it got blocked, and from then on, like, things started to deteriorate rapidly. I would say, not progressively. Like, things were
Very rapidly, yeah.
progressively deteriorating, but they were like starting to deteriorate rapidly. Like, we weren't talking to each other anymore. Like, I was just, like, I honestly, I felt taken advantage of. Because anytime, like, things were about rewards, it was always like, oh no, this is 50-50. And then and anytime there were things about responsibilities, it was like, oh man, like, I won't have time for this. Right? And I was like, well, I also don't have time for this, but somebody needs to do it, so I'm going to do it, right? Yeah, so and like, if there's one thing that I don't tolerate is being taken advantage of. Like at that point, like, I usually, I explained this to Malte the other, our German intern. I usually try to give more than 50% in any kind of relationship. Like, whatever it is, like, girlfriend, whatever, like, she doesn't pay 50% of everything, or she doesn't, like, I try to give more than 50% so that the discussion doesn't come up, right? Well, I guess with my girlfriend, like, she's way better than me at those things, so maybe, like, I'm failing there, but she's just way too nice.
Oh, the safety net came.
No, yeah.
But she's so well. So she's
No,
so
I'm not even like, okay. I see.
Almost fucked up.
Sick back pedal, bro. No, yeah. No, I honestly try. I honestly try to be above 50%, like, in everything I contribute, but obviously it's not possible in all regards of life. And the company was just, like, consuming everything. Like, honestly, if you don't count the trip that we took to I.O., which was the first trip we took since this entire fucking saga, okay, of everything that we have just talked about. It was the first trip, and I would have probably averaged 80 to 90 hours a week. And if you take only the last 6 months, I average an easy 110. Easy. A week. That's my...
I guess you're
sorry,
on the couch
party,
tonight?
party accessories. The pizza doesn't have enough cheese, so we had to switch to cheese. Anyway, Where were we? Things were
Um,
deteriorating rapidly,
yeah,
right?
rapidly, yeah.
And I felt taken advantage of. So there we go. Yeah, and so in the middle of all of this, like there were several like discussions about like one of us leaving the company just because like at the end of the day like we were still adults, um, to a certain extent, me included. um, so there were like discussions about who is going to leave the company or who is going to take over and all these kind of things in the middle of all of this, blah 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 blah. And so we are kind of like at rock bottom. Like there are still no new products being made. Obviously, there is still no ODM contract. Blah blah blah. We got kicked out. We're now in a new office, but things are just like hanging on. There were still people leaving, I think, in the new office, right? I don't remember. Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
One guy left. Sorry, I fucked up with the names. Yeah, I mean, he still stayed with us, but
Just not here.
he moved out of Hong Kong and
Working from another country.
working from another country. Yeah, and I don't know, like, well, yeah, and then the other guy also like from Taiwan left. So it was still like, where it was at this point like 3 years ago, I thought like, oh, the first bad thing happened. Okay, fine, we managed to solve this situation. Now we're out of the woods, right? But now, like after 3 years of just, I'm like, okay, not out of the woods yet. And then came the fucking big hammer. I remember it very, very vividly because Wayne,
Yeah,
Mike Chin, and our two customer support guys, who I'm not going to name just for privacy reasons.
We were having a meeting.
We were having a meeting, and then my bank calls me. And they go, all of your funds are locked. We cannot tell you why. And I look over, and the guy's not sitting on his chair. And that was when it fucking, like, uh-oh.
Well, he wasn't here for
Yeah.
like,
He still wasn't here.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. I was like, uh-oh. Here we go. So immediately, here's the first thing that I did. I'm just gonna like try to remember it as clearly as I can.
I thought the bank kind of hinted you like what happened.
Yeah. They kind of they said they cannot disclose why, but this thing has happened.
Yeah.
And the thing that was happened was that a wind-up petition had been filed. A wind-up petition is a forced liquidation of a company. And usually used if you don't pay your bills. Or if you run out of money. Same.
Owe people money, you can't.
If you owe people money, you can't pay it off. Yeah. And in very rare instances, it's being used when owners of a company lose their fucking marbles. At least that's what the law says. Not with those words, but okay. So, very first thing I did, I still remember this to this fucking day. I run and I unplug the internet. And like that seemed like the sanest thing that I could do at the time, because it felt like fucking we are being invaded.
Yeah, we had to go into panic mode.
Okay? Yeah. It was it really felt like an invasion. That's that's the best way I can put it. Like if you're a general and you're in on a fort and you see like the orcs coming in from everywhere, right? Or
Because like if
elves.
that was like the first sign, you don't know what's going on behind it, right? Like it can be something even crazier happening behind our backs.
Yeah.
So.
But now the concern is this: I obviously haven't lost my marbles. Maybe obviously is a strong word. I perhaps haven't lost my marbles. And I've always paid my bills. So what the fuck is gonna be coming? And at that moment, I knew what was gonna be coming. And I think some of you know what is gonna be coming. And I can't talk about that. But if you've ever been to I.O., and you've ever read up on laws in China, then you know what is going to be coming next. And I'm looking at 7 to life, basically. Obviously from the second guy. You lost your marbles decades ago. Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. So, things are getting very, very serious, I would say, at this point.
Oh yeah.
At least for me, right? I mean, I know Wayne was like telling me like, don't worry about it. Like there's still this thing called like evidence.
Oh, for that thing, yeah, of course, yeah.
Which I agree to some extent, especially like after the fact. However, I don't take accusations like this lightly. All the other accusations were, I think I can say that, like made up. Obviously, those weren't the only ones. They, or at least not really made up, but they weren't truthful at all. And here we are, in a fucking situation where a court date is set. Which
that was like 2 to 3 months or something. 2 months.
2.5 months.
Yeah.
From that phone call on. A phone call. A deadline was set. A court case was going to be happening, where I would basically have to defend TBS from being liquidated, while facing. And not really criminal accusations, but while facing accusations that are extremely serious. I guess I can say like they wouldn't have held up in court, or they wouldn't have been true, or whatever you want to call it. Whatever, I don't care. But still facing those accusations, and in the background of this, I have to fight for a company, right? A company that is like financially, or at least like a trajectory, no, financially actually not at all, sorry. The trajectory of the company wasn't going in the right direction, and it was my fault, because I can't blame anybody, right? Yeah, so here we are, basically. 2 months to go. This happened in early February 2023. Double-pronged attack, yeah. Is it the air at I.O. you're talking about? Yeah, the air at I.O., yeah. The fresh Muncie air. Yeah, so...
Should be doing a stream at Detroit.
Yeah, no, it would just be us.
Hang on a second.
Yeah. See you in 5 hours. Anyway, so, okay, now, my lawyers tell me there's 3 outcomes to this. First one is fight it in court for years. Literally for years. Maybe a year, singular, but at least a year, while having no bank accounts. And anything that I pay comes out of my pockets. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, because TBS is still running, right? Let's just say I call up Serge from Pyroflip and say, hey man, Serge, just wire it to this bank account. And then I use that money to buy something, hypothetically speaking. That is now not TBS's money that I'm spending, that is my personal money that I'm spending, that I have to pay back to TBS. In the case that I lose the court case, right? So that means basically for the entire year, the other party to this lawsuit can just go, no, I'm not going to approve this payment. No, I'm not going to approve this payment. No, I'm not going to approve this payment. And everything will land on my fucking risk, my personal risk. Whereas all the revenue that's coming in is still going to get split 50-50, right? So, shitty situation. Obviously, because this scenario was not built for our company, right? It was built for companies who don't have any money left. Then, second possible outcome is an agreeable resolution. One party takes over, the other party fucks off. Third outcome is liquidation by the
Government.
By the government. I knew there was three. The last one slipped my mind. Which, to me, like Wayne and I had like a, was it with you? I don't remember. I had like a weekly percentage, probability percentage. And that thing was in the high 80s to 90s of happening pretty much throughout the entire ordeal. Because the demands were as such that they felt like extortion. They clearly weren't, but they felt like extortion. So there we go. Negotiations were happening. Luckily, a friend of mine who also helped with the flooring here managed to kind of establish himself as a mediator, because the lawyers are like, they're like $3,000-4,000 an hour. Somebody with my measly salary cannot entertain those guys for weeks. Yeah. There we are. It looks like the company's going to get wound up, and we are basically simply like going back and forth in the final weeks, not getting anywhere, to be quite honest. And I basically had already expected that my company was going to no longer exist. Like I already had, I didn't have flights booked, but I had plans made of booking flights. And just like, okay, fine, like that's it. Gotta go back home and let the government liquidate everything here. And just to give you like an example of how this would have played out, the government would have come in, they would have looked at everything like, oh, popcorn machine, we can sell this for that much. Oh, old Unifies, we can sell this for exactly $0, so it's gonna get thrown out. Oh, Crossfire intellectual property, we're gonna try and sell that to somebody, right? And like, who's gonna buy Crossfire intellectual property? Because of all of those personnel changes, only staff know about it, so they would have to hire those staff, but those staff are like tied to other projects, and like, they're gonna. Okay, so the reality of the situation.
Yeah, it's dark.
That sounds dark. Yeah,
it's dark as fuck.
It is. Like I said, it was a stairway to fucking hell, and I finally arrived.
Yeah,
and not just me. Like I don't want to make this about me. Like. Everybody here, right? Because like I was completely honest with, I think I was, right? Like with everybody here who was working here, letting them know how the situation is going to be playing out. Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, people have families, right? People have mouths to feed. Yeah. They have a place that they need to pay some step landlord. I mean, not everybody, but still, like, treat it as everybody. yeah, so that was fucking rock bottom. And I can't imagine how you guys feel. Yeah, man. Like this, I did not think I would make it this far without like choking up. It was a pretty rough ride. That's
Rough
putting it
AF.
putting it very, very mildly. Not just on like mental health, on like physical health. Like everything was deteriorating. Please tell me it's April 1st. No, man. Like this, I can't make this really fucking happen.
That's how it felt like, though.
Yeah, it really is like how it felt like, because it just didn't make a lot of sense. In terms of again, like I'm a capitalist at heart, right? Like I was educated capitalist in a Western society. I don't think that's like I'm not trying to be like, you know, like billionaires. No, to me it's about like you get out what you put in most of the time. Risk versus reward, cost versus benefit. Those are like, that's how my brain works, right? And none of those moves, none of them made any sense, because let's like speak openly here. If you look at TBS as a liquidation asset, it is fucking worthless. It is completely worthless compared to what it really is, right? Sorry. So, how stupid someone's... Yeah, exactly. Anyway, yeah, you're gonna have a hard time catching up, Mike. The value is in the company and the product. Yeah, and I don't want to be like selfish or anything, but I think it's within like all of us who publicly appear at events, like show our heart and our love for FPV. Okay, and this is like I can't go down this fucking route. Sorry. Anyway, at the end of it, we managed to find an agreement. I would say not at the last hour, but at the second last hour. And it was probably the most risky move that I've ever made in my entire life, like financially speaking, because like I said, it felt like extortion. So the amount that was paid really felt like extortion at the time. I don't want to say like how it feels right now. Like everything is much better. I'm in a much better place mentally and physically, and perhaps also financially. But at that time, it really felt like extortion. And it went against like every grain in my body to make this deal. But it was finally made. I won't talk about any of the details. I won't talk about any of the like specifics. There are hours, if not days, of stories that I have to leave out just because they go too far into details. Of just mind-blowing shit that was happening. I told you some of it, and I guess like my lawyers summarized some of it pretty well. But anyway, everything looks like it's gonna work, and just like the sheer madness of it is the thing that broke, or that thing that saved my company was, or which is now my company, was a vendor who makes a specific part of a specific product coming to me and saying, if you do not place an order by tomorrow, we will no longer be able to supply you, period, because we are shutting down. Okay? So that would have meant game over for TBS. Because we are already, like, since 2 months, we were only supplying what we had in stock. I mean, I guess I can say it now. I bought a fuck bunch of stuff to keep the company going, on my risk, and all of this aside, like I couldn't justify in any situation, because, like, again, like, I have to remind you, the court case was the most likely scenario. The court case with a subsequent wind up, which means that now government liquidators are going to be coming in and they're going to be asking questions, right? Like, why the fuck did you pay staff salary, right? And like, I checked this with my lawyers beforehand, like, staff salaries are fine. Phone bill is fine. Investment into new machines that are going to be paying off 2 years in advance? Probably not. And paying vendors that might not be around in 2 months?
Definitely not.
Definitely not, okay? Thanks for that, by the way. I bought a TX16 for $60. Well, smart fella. Yeah, so where was I? Deal has been made thanks to a factory that said we are going to be shutting down in tomorrow, or last orders, we will be shutting down. And if your orders are not large enough, we will be shutting down anyway. And plus, like, fun fact, like, retooling's 4 months, right? So, completely fucked. So, like, at that point, I was able, well, not really able, I was forced to get onto the phone and say yes or no. If by tomorrow this is not going to happen, we have another, I think, like 2 weeks left to the court date.
Yeah.
Get fucking lawyered up. Because there is no way that I can turn the ship around anymore. And finally, I think that set in. At that point, it set in because, like I said, the liquidation value of TBS is not very high. Okay, so that means it's going to be the liquidation scenario.
It's a serious lose-lose situation.
It's a very serious lose-lose situation, right? So, like, let's say there's $10. Okay, all of the value of TBS is $10. Okay, a liquidation scenario means 5. No fucking questions, right? Whatever all of the money that's here, 5. That's it. And just to give you an example, like, I'm looking at a tower of Red Bulls over there. Okay, those were bought for, let's say, $15 each or $12, whatever. You're gonna be selling them on a blowout at $3 a piece. What was the other guy riding? I'm not going to make any assumptions about this. Quite honestly, I do not understand. I still do not understand. The only thing at that point, the most important thing to me was I felt being taken advantage of, and this situation cannot stand, dude. That's it.
Yeah, exactly, Patrick. That's like shooting yourself in the leg.
Okay, that is your opinion. I don't think it's unreasonable to have that opinion. Yeah. Anyway, so a deal was made. Company was taken over. The deal was signed April 20th. Oh, the sweet irony. Oh, the sweet irony. April 20th is the fucking day. So that's almost 2 months ago.
That's 6:45.
And No, it wasn't 6:45. It was like midnight.
Yeah, I know. I'm
But-
gonna say
but yeah.
it's 6-9.
Yeah. I got that. No worries. Yeah, I got that. So yeah, woo woo. The entire logistics of everything, like that was settled. End of April, let's call it. And I basically took reins of the company in, like, to be honest, in February, right? So I've been running this company solo now for about 4 months. Day goes down in history, yeah. And on,
But, like, to
on
be
more
fair,
than one note.
The other guy hasn't been running shit.
Okay, that is your opinion, and you're gonna have to excuse that I can't have an opinion on it. Yeah.
All right, I get it.
Okay. Rice, I told you not to name names, please. Delete the fucking post, please. Just don't. Okay? Please don't. Seriously. Where's the fucking thing? All right.
You gotta cut it. Yeah.
Okay. We're just gonna leave it like this for a while. So push. Yeah, it's almost gonna be gone. Anyway, so in full capacity, I've been running the company for 4 months. We can probably make this a shareholder meeting. Where I can, as the CEO, I can report to you the successes that we have made. All right, thanks for the push. Chat windows back. Since that time, we managed to turn the business around substantially. We managed to turn around the production substantially. We have developed in the last 4 months. Like, not fully developed, but the hardware is completely, like, designed. More products than we have developed in the 5 years prior. In the pipeline are several different products. Several, like, even like non-drone related stuff, right? Because, like, my mind has been wandering to completely different levels. And, like, the cool thing is, it is like you lift the veil off of something and you see it for what it really is. You see the problem for what it really is, or for what it was. And several people have approached me and said, like, thank you for changing this and this and this and this, right? Or these and these and these. TBS submarine, yeah.
Too soon, bro.
Carbon fiber. With the Tango 2. Oh man, way too soon. But it was just billionaires, so nobody cares.
Tango 2. Yeah, it was with the PlayStation controller.
yeah, with the Bluetooth one. So, anyway, the entire, like, there is a lot of people, or, well, not really a lot of people. Some people came back that previously left TBS. I think we're like 10 people more now. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've grown by like 30% in the last 4 months. And we will continue to grow. We are hiring, we are pushing, and we are like, I'm motivated as fuck. Everybody's like, some people say like, I look better. Thank you. I feel way much better. And and I hope that this has been rock bottom. I'm still cautiously optimistic. Like nothing. Well, actually, no, we can't really say that. Like nothing bad has happened. Like there's a Russian company called TBS, something, whatever, and they are hit by sanctions. So like now I have to explain to them that the TBS in Russia is not the same as the TBS in Hong Kong. It's like so. Anyway,
not the same.
Yeah, it's
not at all related.
Yeah, it's like what it has nothing to do.
Don't answer that. we're not the same.
Yeah, no. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, but that's a minor issue. There's a TBS network in the U.S. too. Yeah, exactly. Wayne was saying that. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway. Okay, that was a lot shorter than expected, only 2 hours. But that was basically the story of how I gained control over TBS. Did the TBS in Italy also get sanctions? Yeah, I hope so. I fucking hope so. Fucking straziones.
Yeah, the clothing
Yeah, I
store.
remember the clothing store. TBH HD0 VTX coming. I'm not going to talk about what is coming. A lot of the things that we are doing right now are highly experimental, I would say. And in the last 2 years, I've learned a lot about how to develop products, I would say. Just by like slowly and surely taking over. So a lot of the things are just like, like throw it on the wall and see what sticks. Like, I don't really want to be compared to Elon Musk. But I mean, that's kind of the mentality that he follows as well. And I've learned from some of his teachings. Whatever it is, it will be top-notch products. Thank you, 661 FPV. And I absolutely fucking agree. And one of the things that absolutely shocked me was not how easy it is to develop electronic products, but how we are able to do it, right? Like, the concern was always like, I set out to do this with those two individuals simply because I believed, and I'm not saying I was completely wrong, I believed that they had the capability. Well, they clearly proved that they had the capability, but I believe that they were the only ones who had the capability within the team to do what we were doing, right? So like I'm saying, like I believe that I had the unique capability of selling shit and being like the community guy and having some ideas for some products. Like I really don't want to get into who made what, right? Because this was always a big point of contention. So I really believe that I was able to do this, and I really believe that those people were able to do what they ultimately did. I always expected more out of me, out of everybody. But that's kind of like the point, right? Like you can't be happy, because if you're happy, then you deteriorate. I mean, you can't be happy with your level of success, because if you do, then you're never going to reach it. Okay.
What's your next big hit on the market? You can't really talk about it yet.
No, it's TBS goggles. We can say that. 8K.
8K, easy.
8K, easy.
8K per eye.
Apple doesn't know what the fuck is going on. Anyway, so that hopefully addresses the issue of why there haven't been any live streams lately. That hopefully also addresses the concern about why there haven't been any updates lately, or new products. And I hope it somewhat explains our inability to be in stock on products. I hope. um, yeah.
Yeah, it was a telemetry loss and recovered moment.
Yeah, yeah, several of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Should title the stream that way.
yeah.
Telemetry recovered.
Anyway, that has been the most difficult sensory deprivation chamber, mind and product development. Okay, that I promised no segues. So I'm not gonna go into any segues, but seriously, like if any of you ever goes through any of these situations, look up sensory deprivation tanks. That is all I can say. Like, it is the most helpful thing. I don't think, I honestly think I might have killed myself. And I'm just realizing this now, saying this. It's actually quite serious. I honestly think I might have killed myself if I didn't have those tools. It's one of the scariest and one of the most effective ways of dealing with shit in a very concentrated time. If you have, like me, I don't have time. Like any hour or so that I take is an hour that I sleep less, not work less. So, yeah. You should really, like, anybody that is struggling with things in their life, whatever, we all have our concerns. I can only highly recommend it.
Reborn in the non-book readers.
Right. Well, luckily my religion has infinite rebirths. We pick and choose as we go along. Interestingly, the main supplier of sensory deprivation tanks lives about 200 meters away from me. The worldwide leading distributor. We didn't buy his shit, we bought the Chinese clone, but yeah. I'm sorry, I just didn't have the money. Like a sensory deprivation tank is like 12 grand US. Again, TBS salary. I guess now I can expense it. Now I can fucking expense
If
it.
we're renting the office next door, we should.
Oh yeah, we
put one in
should
there.
definitely. Well, no, we'll just put that one in there. Like fuck, I don't need that fucking thing at home.
Oh, you just move it over there.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, this has been the most difficult fucking lounge. It has also been like one of the, well, we did have one like day before yesterday, but I just wasn't in the right headspace to talk about that on Monday.
No, like
Or
we said,
Tuesday.
this stream is going to be a heavy one.
Yeah, this stream is gonna be a heavy one. Yeah.
Can the floor take the weight?
Yeah, it can. It can. Can I pay in veg? It's probably not a good idea, bro. just say. Yeah. Anyway, it's been a fucking heavy. It's been a fucking wild ride. We're still here. We're still kicking. We're still alive, thankfully. And we're gonna have a fucking
Science
party
fucking
tomorrow.
back up.
The science fucking back up. Right. That was another reason. Like, I don't know. Like, you start to when you feel like really like locked into something where first of all, like, it's your baby, right? Like, I mean, it's not only your baby, but it's your baby, but you're being taken advantage of, or at least you feel like you're being taken advantage of to an extent that is simply no longer tolerable. And whatever anybody has their own limits, and like the people that have been mentoring me, like they said, like we would have fucking capped out years ago, and other people have said like, "Nah, man, like this is normal in business, right?" Whatever. Some people have higher limits, some people have lower limits. Like I've always communicated that I will eventually have a limit, and I also said that the limit has now been reached, and I said that the limit has now been crossed. So I was always open in that communication, in terms of like feeling like I've been taken advantage of, right? And obviously, like other people can disagree. I don't care. That's just what it is. But yeah, I did not feel like putting up a logo until the situation was resolved. And now it's up. All right, that's it.
It will make it easy to scroll through the YouTube history and find this episode, because that would be like like no logo, boom, logo.
Yeah, boom, logo's back. Yeah, and the best part about it is whatever happens now, it's all my fault.
Or blame it on me,
Well, I'm still gonna. I'm still gonna. Jimmy's gonna be blamed, obviously, because he's like fucking team unemployed. But, yeah. Mike Chin, yeah. Oh, speaking of Mike Chin, I forgot one fucking thing. Oh my god, you were right. I should have taken notes.
What are you talking about?
Heli Nation.
Oh, okay, all right. Are we gonna talk about that?
I think we can. Fuck that guy. That was like one of the second or third steps of going down. Like basically, we agreed to take over Heli Nation, but we couldn't because of all this stuff that had been going on. And in the middle of all of this, the guy basically shut down the company on us, even though he claimed we owned it. Yeah. And we took the loss for it, pretty much. That was a 30-second fucking soundbite that's gonna blow up on the internet. Probably. I don't know. But it was just one of probably 30 steps to hell. And I probably talked about 20 of them, 25 of them. I didn't purposely leave out any. I try to be as open as possible whenever I communicate, just so that everybody knows where I'm coming from and where I'm going to be heading next. All right. We need a TBS Reborn shirt. I agree. I agree. That's a fucking good idea, man. And on that note, we're going to have a fucking party tomorrow. I ordered 6 kilos of cheese, fucking pizzas and everything.
6 kilos of cheese?
Yeah, 6 kilos of cheese. 8 kilos of tomato sauce, 40 doughs.
And a probably not working pizza oven.
Yeah. So if anybody's in Hong Kong, DM me first. You might get invited.
Except for Jimmy, yeah. Is the oven even fucking operational? No, we haven't set it up yet. This was one of the things that we were supposed to do instead of doing this lounge. But in my opinion, the lounge is more important. You mean book burning? Yeah. We're not gonna live stream any of it. We might have some project like that I started with a friend of mine, that he started together with me. I would have to say, fairly, which is now in the TBS office, which is pretty fucking cool, and we might do a live stream out of that once. Okay.
Yeah.
That thing's fucking wild.
All right. Immediate actions by end of this week. By the way, we're going to publish the CRSF documentation, and I've been meaning to do that for the entire week. anyway. It's I'm not trying to make excuses, but it was Wayne's fault. So that's gonna happen today or tomorrow before the party. I really have to get that done before the party. So those are like the immediate things. The reason why I took this long to talk about it was, first of all, to get clarity from my end, because like my understanding of the situation has, I wouldn't say improved, but changed over the months. And not only this, tomorrow the final transaction is going to get made. So I wanted to do it before that, but at the latest possible time. So that, I don't know if anybody had that question, but just letting you know, like that is the reason why the deal was signed on April 20th, and we're only talking about it now, right? Because I'm talking about honesty and openness and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that's about it. I guess there are no further questions. At least I hope. And we'll see you guys probably not tomorrow, next week.
Yeah. Oh, we got shit ton to do.
Signing out.
Later. Hazard.
Hazard FPV, can you say what positions are open? We're hiring every fucking thing that you can imagine. Like, there's even a position open for somebody to build my fucking drones because I want to go fly again. All right? And that was really it. See you guys.